Hello again and welcome. This is Modern American Gangster, and this is a news and current events update. The date is 10/12/2025, and I wanted to do another update. So, a lot is going on. We're almost halfway through October, and the winter is coming on super quickly. And we are observing the crashing and falling of the economy and the Federal Reserve banking system. Now, it's going to be a slow crash, but estimates are by the end of the year, the gold will be 5,000 an ounce and the silver will be close to $100 per ounce. Now, as of today, it is the Columbus Day weekend, and all of the QAnon people are telling us that Monday is going to be this big crash, reevaluation, the banks are going to collapse, and all the stuff that we've been hearing about for the past 5 years. Now, it's possible that this could occur on Monday, which is Columbus Day. There's all this stuff about Columbus and Columbia and the District of Columbia. And President Trump says they're going to have the Columbus Day is returning, and Columbus discovered the New World, and the New World is going to be when this financial reset happens, and blah, 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 blah. It's the same story they've been feeding us forever, and the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Now, the optimistic thing to look at is the price of the precious metals. At $50 an ounce for silver, that is a crazy, crazy thing. Now, if it goes up to 100, that's going to be better. But I have heard that the silver will be about $1,000 an ounce when all is said and done. And you're going to have a splitting of the two systems. So you're going to see the Bitcoin Federal Reserve system go one way and the new asset backed system going the other way. And they'll slowly bleed this system until it dies. Federal Reserve banking system. And gold shall destroy the fact. Now, that is a big part of where we're going with all of this. The ideas behind all this QAnon and the alliance between Russia and China, and it's enjoy the show and don't worry about it, it's all a show. Actors and masks and all this stupid shit. Where, I mean, I was telling people to buy gold and silver in 2010 when you could have bought 1 ounce silver coins for $22 and you could have bought 1 ounce gold coins for $1,100. Now, since then, 15 years, let's just say, maybe more, maybe less, but gold has risen 4 times, 5 times. You could have made super cash on this. And all these Israel influencer people, it's almost like they're banned from having gold and silver. They're so against it because it is a living currency. Now, what do I mean by living currency? It comes from the blood of our ancestors. Now, if you've been following this work and research for a while, and you understand the mud fossil aspect to metals, materials, molecules, compounds, and how chemical reactions within the body create different compounds and transition metals. Now, for the general people, this is like impossible to comprehend or understand. because of the programming installed in people from birth. Okay. The idea of the dinosaurs and millions of years and all these things. No one really asks, where do all of these metals come from? Where does copper come from? Where does aluminum come from? Where does gold and platinum and uranium and all of these metals, where do they come from? Now they'll say that when the Big Bang happened, all this was dispersed and stuff. But the interesting thing that most people don't acknowledge is how all of these metals are already within our blood chemistry as creatures, humans, animals, whatever. So when you kind of understand that you have iron in your blood, you have copper in your blood, there's some aliens, they say, that have copper based blood where we have iron based blood. So if you start to extrapolate this idea and understand that the blood chemistry that creates these compounds, if you are a person or one of these giant titans or whatever, all of this blood is within your body. So you start looking at the days of Noah and these, Noah was 100 foot tall or something, antediluvian. Put up a little. The bigger people get, if they would become instantly fossilized at the time when your body is exchanging minerals and elements and your heart is transferring oxygen rich blood to non oxygenated blood, the ferrous iron oxide O2 blood into the ferrous iron oxide O3 blood, which is the red blood and the blue blood with more oxygen added to it. If you were to be instantly fossilized, you would have a mixture of all of these precious metals within your body, and they would turn into a stone like state. Now, you can extrapolate that to if you were 100 foot tall or 1,000 foot tall, like in Gulliver Travels or something, and that person would have been fossilized. As the fossilization occurs, the heavier particles, the gold and the iron, would settle at the lower levels. I've done so many posts about this, but it's like it's so far outside of the understanding of people that they're not. This is like for super advanced thinking. But it's very easy to understand if you aren't programmed by the matrix or whatever it is. So the gold and silver money is the money of gods and kings. It is the money of our ancestors paid for, the blood that they have shed or whatever. Another way to look at it is like the sins of the people wiped out in the great flood. All the sins have been paid for by Jesus Christ, the blood of Jesus Christ, which in turn, again, is the transition metals, which are in all of our blood. So when you understand the slavery aspect to the Federal Reserve banking system, along with the Bitcoin, and how it's a tool to launder, clean, and wash money to control the masses and to control the flow of technology and resources. When each person becomes their own central bank through smartphones and technology or whatever it is. I mean, once you have your bank on your cell phone and you can wirelessly send money to people, and you can also almost coin your own money. If you did have 10 pounds of silver, you could tokenize it into your own coin the same way Spain would do, or England, or America, or Canada, or Mexico, whoever it is, with the standardized weights of 1 ounce is $1 and so and so. Now, same kind of idea can be thought of with cryptocurrency, how they tokenize it and separate it out. Now, in the future, I was thinking the assets, like let's say we had a silver bar or a gold bar, okay? No one can afford a gold bar. It's way too expensive. But maybe 100 or 1,000 people could all go in as if the gold bar is like a stock they can purchase. So you can purchase interest into a gold bar. So 10,000 people might have interest in one gold bar. The same is kind of like for Bitcoin. You could own an entire Bitcoin or you could own small fractions of one. And then the market dictates, how it levels out when the prices rise and fall and stuff like that. That, in essence, is where this currency reevaluation is going to go. Because if you change the monetary system to gold and assets, all of your assets can become tokenized and you can then sell them off or invest them or you can sell shares in your corporate entity, which is the maritime birth certificate stuff, how you're all a corporation. Now, a lot of people want to get rid of the false banking system and the corporate entities and the birth certificates and all this stuff. But we need to be very careful when understanding that this Federal Reserve entity, the people who own the bonds, which are our birth certificate, owe us millions of dollars for the use of our corporate entity, which is the all caps strawman ID or the nom de guerre, which is your name in all caps on your birth certificate, your driver's license, your social security card, all that kind of stuff. It's all a part of the same thing. So when this banking collapse happens, which a lot of people will tell you this already has happened, and they're just like they're running on the fumes in order to have this final event take place. Final deception event, which we're getting very close to. I know we've been saying it for years, but these alien ships supposedly are still on the way. And that's going to usher in the final attempts to get this new world order installed. Now, the alien ship arrives, the aliens, they're not gonna, they haven't been monitoring civilization to understand who they should talk to and who they should nominate as their emissary or whatever. They're already going to be contacting the World Economic Forum people, the NATO countries, the Israel and the Zionists and all this stuff. It'll be hand in glove with the final deception of the New World Order. And if you think about this, this is where you get into Operation Warp Speed with Trump and all this stuff. And you go back to what the QAnon people were saying years ago is this COVID and the lockdowns for COVID would have locked the country down for like 10 years. So that would mean 2025, 2026, we'd be thinking about getting out of the lockdowns as long as everyone gets vaccinated and all this stuff. And it pushes everything forward where then you can have the alien spaceship coming. And it's like people would be so worn out by the time they got ready to do all this. You would see the people who would comply. Just everyone would comply after you've been locked down for 10 years due to the vaccines, and then the vaccines are connected to climate change, and then the aliens are going to come because of climate change, and we're destroying the planet. These people have come from billions of star systems away in order to tell us we're destroying our planet. It's like, shut the fuck up, bitch. You have no idea what's going on here. Where were you? 20 years ago? Where were you when this mud flood happened? Where were you when they took all our technology away in order to install their, fossil fuel industry and all this stuff? And the people who are awake and aware, who have been researching this for 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, it's just the same thing as COVID. The dummies are all gonna believe it. They're gonna report to the concentration camps. They're gonna there's so many possible theories to what's going on. Is if this big change happens, they're going to seal themselves off within their bunkers, whatever bunkers they have left, even if they're super deep, hundreds of miles deep bunkers with lizard people and creatures and chimeras and all this stuff. They're going to need a food supply in order to survive if they have to go underground for 150 years. Now, that's going to be the NPC people who report to the FEMA camps, the concentration camps. And it'll be like we're opening up the underground bunkers for, to save humanity from the aliens that they've known about supposedly since the 40s or something. Now, everyone will just do what they're told. If they're told to show up at the FEMA camp, they will. If they're told to go into the underground bases, they will. If they're told to separate, they will. They'll do what they're told and what they're programmed to. Now, an intelligent person would ask, if you knew about this since the 40s, why didn't you tell us all about it so we could all make our own bunkers and stockpile supplies and wait out the aliens if you knew they were coming? Well, because they're in league with the aliens. The aliens are hooked in with the Jews. The Jews run the government. It's a Zionist occupied government. Who works with these aliens? The Jews do. We're figuring out how to communicate with these aliens. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, if you look into their Wheelsburg Castle and the kind of satanic rituals they were doing, and then you look into NASA and Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons, and all these people are doing satanic rituals to contact these demons, not through outer space, not through radio frequency telescopes and all this stuff. No, they conjure them through witchcraft and black magic and facilitate deals with these demon and entities for whatever they need, technical skills, or, there's so many facets to this. And we're running out of time because there's a lot people need to know and they don't know. They don't know any of this stuff, which is fine because, if they are NPCs, it's not their job to know any of this. Their job is to just keep civilization running until the time runs out where every one of these people who's an NPC will be replaced by artificial intelligence. Okay. And the only jobs that are safe are the physical labor jobs. Because in order to really have, you know, physical labor is one thing if you're just picking cotton, you're digging ditches or something. But once you start getting into carpentry and plumbing, the chances of you being an NPC person and being a welder or a plumber or an electrician is slim because it's a thinking job where you have to always be thinking a few steps ahead, where these NPC people can barely think 15 seconds ahead. And that's a big part of all of this end time deception, as that when the wealth of the people is returned, if the wealth of the people is returned, you're going to have a renaissance of creation where every single adult, all these people are going to want to go back to like a high school to learn basic wood shop, automotive shop, welding, sewing, cooking, painting, art, pottery, all these things that they have slowly phased out of the learning of the general people, telling you you should go to college and get a degree. They go to college, they get a degree. The degree is in liberal arts. They don't know how to do anything. They can't read. They can't tell time. They can't check their oil or their tire pressure or anything. And it's just you've raised several generation of worthless people. And they don't seem to see anything wrong with that because no one's ever brought it up that they don't know how to clean, they don't know how to cook, they don't know how to garden, they don't know how to do basic things that you take for granted as a person who has to do these things. You have to do your own business. You don't have a nanny or a housekeeper or whatever it is. And you can already see these Democrat people. That's why they're so mad that they're deporting all these people. Because who's going to do the gardening? Who's going to do the housekeeping? Who's going to be the nanny? And all these Democrats, that's their number one concern is you're getting rid of their slave force. You wouldn't pay, a white kid to mow your lawn. You'd rather pay the Mexican. It's like a systematic racism built into everything. Because if you are one of these Democrats, I know that's well, some people are, it doesn't matter. Society looks down upon white males for a reason. This is why every single commercial, every white guy is a homosexual, or he's married to a black woman, and the white man stays home and is mopping the floor and taking care of the kids and the laundry, and the woman's out burning and fighting in MMA and all this stuff. It's just like a complete introverted society. Up is down and down is up. And this reversal of fortune, which hopefully is coming because there's no other reason the silver would be getting so high and the value of the dollar going so low. Now, this is all setting up for the next phase of this operation. Whether this is good or bad, it's something that has to come because if you are the people who blackmail politicians and you take the APAC money and you're a Freemason person and you take the extra cash you get every year from the lodge and all this stuff. Those are the people they want to break. And they're going to break these bastards 10 times over because it's the same as when like the Nazis came to power. Everyone that helped them get to power, they killed in the first week when the takeover started because we know if you will turn your back on your family, if you will turn your back on your friends and your community and your town, you're the people who cannot be trusted. And every one of these Mason people are the people that you should not trust. They will smile to your face, they will take your hand, and they will stab you in the fucking back as fast as they can because they're all the people that sold out. They sold their soul for a little bit of money. They've made choices in this life that affect others on a grand scale, and they're going to be the first ones to go. And I will be waving a flag and celebrating the day that all of these crooked, evil, satanic, Jewish Freemasons all go down. And the word is all these people have been monitored, and it's like we're waiting for all this to happen. But like we said in the past, everything is going to happen in the same 10 days. So when is the economy going to crash? The closer those aliens get. And they're, by Mars now. And, it's like they're right here, they're by Mars, and it's going to be another 2 weeks. It's going to be the end of October. It's October 30th. The aliens are going to arrive. And it's just going to be another dangle carrot where the aliens are in our solar system now, and nobody's really worried about it. Okay. The aliens are by Mars, and it's a fleet of aliens. And any kind of Space Force update? You got any new airplanes? You got any? You're going to disclose flying saucers and free energy and stuff? Well, not quite. because these people in charge are not pulling the string, especially if you understand the lizard people and the grays and how it's all a satanic thing and it connects to who runs the planet, who are the people who have been put in charge of running the planet, who these people serve, and so and so. So everything is gearing up for the final deception. We can see that. But when the deception is over, if it doesn't work, and the people who you're going to get to believe the aliens are here are the same dumb people who believe the vaccine was safe and effective. The same people who will tell you we have to watch out for global warming, then that fails and they go to global cooling, and then climate change. That's changing all the time because of the climate. It's like the anyone who's super college educated will just buy into anything immediately because they didn't really learn anything in college. They can remember some facts, they can take a test on it, they can pass the test at high averages or whatever. Then 6 months goes by and they've completely forgot absolutely everything they were ever tested on. And they're good for about 6 months. They can learn things for 6 months, and then that's about it. They'll forget it, they'll move on. And as long as they're making more than the poor people who know how to do shit, they're happy. And that's in essence Freemasonry. You know, they need low level soldiers to carry out their whims when at the top they're involved in drug trafficking, sex trafficking, pedophilia, adrenochrome, delivering children to the underground bases for the lizard people to eat. And it just goes in a circle. And nobody understands it, and nobody will call these people out because the money is too good. They love their cash payments of $50,000 tax free that they get for being a member of the order or whatever. It's very disgusting. But the second that money gets turned off because the money's not worth anything anymore, you're going to see these people all feed off of each other and steal everything they fucking can. They have a house that's paid off and their cars are paid off and they don't have any debt, but they also want what you have to make a little extra to keep the heat up to 85 in the winter, and any kind of profit that can be made off of you at the cost of you, they're going to take it. And that is Freemasonry. It's a satanic cult. It's a take more for yourself and fuck others. It's a not do unto others as you would do unto you. No, they are in a separate class. The same way the Jews are in a separate class. And they look down on the Goyim for being animal people because God likes us the most. Okay? The Christian people are the chosen people of our God, Jesus Christ, not their God, Satan, which is a Masonic thing. And don't get it twisted with Freemasonry. It is satanic. It is a satanic Jewish cult. As all these Jews are getting expelled from all these countries and they can no longer hide their Jewishness, they create a Freemasonry in order to teach their secret Jewish shit and get their influence at the ground level of your town or your city. And they work for each other. A Mason is not allowed to go against another Mason. And if one Mason blacklists this guy, you have to blacklist him too because you can't go against the brother and all this. Yeah. And they are all into blackmail and pedophilia. And a lot of these Masons are hooked into pedophilia, the Shriners and the Order of Jesters and the Quetzalcoatl Order and all these things kind of, the more you look into it, the darker and more evil it gets. Okay. They're evil, evil, satanic people. They're not your friends. I don't care if you have family members who are Masons. When it comes down to it, they will go against you. The same way Jews will go against you. It doesn't matter if you've known someone for 20 years and you're their best friend. When the time comes, if they're Jewish and you're not, you're going, and they're not. That's the whole game here. You cannot argue with these people. You cannot deal with these people. They need to be blacklisted. But we can't do that just yet because no one knows about any of this. This is why they're having such a hard time recruiting new members and why they have to take so many black people into their Masonic order because the time is coming to an end. You know, you're selling your soul for such a small amount of money. Is it really worth it? And they would say, yeah, they don't believe it. It's science, evolution, and all this bullshit. When they all know what's up, and usually when they are in Freemasonry for an X amount of years, once it's too late for them to be saved, they learn the truth that they should have never joined and they should have never sold their soul to these people, to Lucifer, to Satan, to the Jews, to the Zionists, to the whoever it is. So all of these things are bubbling and they're getting ready to be unleashed. Now, we're on God's time, and I honestly think this is all going to happen in the same. The banks are already closing. In the last 5 years or 10 years, all the banks are gone. Okay. There's no more Bank of America. There'll be a Bank of America ATM machine somewhere. And the Wells Fargo will shut down, but there'll still be a Wells Fargo ATM machine. So they're limiting commerce to $500. Okay. You're only going to be able to get out $500, or maybe it's even $300 now. But the money is going away because they know this crash is coming and they're going to digitalize the debt in order to transform your debt into the new system. Now, I don't know if that makes sense, but when the Federal Reserve dollar crashes and the banks crash, how do you pay your debts back if there is no money to pay the debt back? So the debt is forfeit. You cannot pay back a debt if there's no money in circulation to pay it back. And this is why they want to digitalize it and give everyone a digital money. And we're just going to transfer your debt to this new digital system and you'll keep paying like normal. No, it's not how it's going to work. The second the banks crash, the debt crashes and you do not sign up your Capital One card or anything because they want to transfer your debt from the all cap strawman ID into your living name. So you will pick up the debt from the dead corporation, which is your birth certificate name or something. And if we resist this and say no and get rid of the debt on the same day that we get rid of the US dollar. And we have the backup system, which is the gold and the silver. Hopefully, you bought your gold and silver, but this is going to change the direction of all countries and nations over the next 20 years, 10 years. And the BRICS countries are already on the asset-backed currency and the all the new cryptos that are backed by gold, silver assets. And this crashing of the dollar, it's going to be crashed. And then Trump's going to come out and say, well, our government economy is still on track due to how much gold and silver we've been hoarding and 1,000 plane loads of gold transferred from the Vatican and Israel and the military and all the QAnon stuff that they were talking about 10 years ago. And it's almost like one day it's going to happen and the next day it's not going to happen because it's like a ping pong ball going back and forth between the general public population and the awake and aware people. And then back to the general public where nothing's going to happen. No one's ever going to get arrested. To we focus our mind on arrests and a revival of all things, and that becomes a possibility. And then it goes back, and then it goes forward, and then it goes back. This is how this separation of the timeline will occur. Is we're all going to be living in the same area, but you're going to see the people who gain wealth during this next revolution are the awake and aware people, followers of Christ, things like that. The followers of Satan and death and Zionism and all that stuff, those people are going to continue to use their fraudulent debt based US dollar. They have so much money they've been stealing, hundreds of millions of dollars they've been stealing, billions of dollars, and they're going to keep on this system as long as they can until you get to the point where if somebody gives you $1 million in cash, it's just worthless. There's no banks to take it to. There'll be nobody to convert money into your account. And it's just the hyperinflation is going to cause all this to crash. Where if you do have the gold and the silver and the asset backed currency, you'll see everybody transfer into treasury notes backed by gold and silver, and those will be far more valuable than this old money. And it'll just phase itself out. Whether it takes a month or a year or 10 years or whatever, it'll become a novelty that you've got $10 million in debt currency. Okay. Now, is this happening? It is. Silver's at $50 an ounce, gold's at $4,000 an ounce. If it keeps going up, it's just going to switch automatically. And we're at that point because the Bitcoin keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. And anything that's not asset backed as an insurance, a physical thing that holds the value of your currency, it's over. It's gone. It's done. And this is why they have to get peace everywhere because the money coming in for war, aid is not worth anything. And they're not going to send gold to Israel. They're sending the US dollars to Israel because who controls the US Federal Reserve Bank? The same Jews that control Israel. Who's sending all the money to Ukraine? The same Jews who run the Ukraine and Israel. And it's all a Jewish thing because these people are all in it together. They are a satanic Luciferian cult. They're all working together while we just continue to exist and live. And that is the oppositional force that defeats them. The idea that we will not be broken, we will not submit, we're going to keep going and going and going until we are rewarded by the changing of the guard from the Zionist occupation to the Jesus Christ based civilization. Golden rule, do unto others as you would do. And this is a big part of how all of this is going to play out. And as the banks are collapsing, like they're doing now, they're going to need a 9/11 times 1,000 distraction to fool everyone into believing their next deception. Now, when the aliens come and you start seeing UFOs, of course it's going to be the UFOs who are disrupting the electronic banking system and the power grid and all this stuff, unknowing that this is when this big change is happening. And the aliens is all going to be the excuse needed to advance the technology into the next 1,000 years, okay? Returning to what the old world had. The free power, the free technology, the flying cars, the flying Zeppelin ships, the gold and silverback currency, and all of the stuff that comes with it. It's all like right there, ready to happen. Now, we've been to this point before, and it's like a balloon getting ready to explode, and then they let some of the gas out. And then it gets full again, and they let the gas out. At some point, they're going to stop letting the gas out, and it's actually going to blow. And that is when the biggest revolution on changing of wealth will take place in human history. The return of fortune to those who have had their fortunes stolen from them by these people who manufacture these wars, get us into all these conflicts as a way of laundering money, controlling assets, controlling technology, controlling the people, controlling the food supply, controlling the medicine, controlling the vaccines, controlling the information, controlling the school systems and the education and all this stuff. It's all part of the same thing. And overnight, this could all change, and you are going to see how all of this explodes. Once the money is gone from these people, so does the censorship disappear. And the less money they have, the more freedom we will have because people who are in charge are the people who are the Freemason people. And the reason these Freemason people do what they do is because of the money they get, the positions they're in. When the artificial intelligence will put it all out of work, and you're going to see how all of these people have zero skills, they have zero information and knowledge, and they cannot compete with the people who have been held back for hundreds of years. If you give everyone the same amount of money and see what they do with it, you're going to see how revolution starts because you'll have all these people start businesses. You're going to it's going to be a big thing, and people aren't really understanding how big this is going to be. But a lot of people don't understand how vast and amazing the old world was. There's going to be such a explosion of creativity and ideas. There's going to be businesses opening up, new people opening shops. Every single person, if you want to open a shop or a business, it'll be very cheap for you to do that. And then you can sell candle or whatever you sell. I don't know. We're getting to this point, and then when you can't extort people for medical resources, keeping people sick and vaccinating them, causing them these diseases where they aren't on the same footing as everyone else. Once the medical technologies take off and everything takes off, it's going to be the reversal of fortune is going to be so big, so quick. A lot of people are not going to be able to handle it. And those are going to be the people in charge of our civilization now. The older generation who are still in control and will never let the reins go. And we're going to overcome everyone so fast when this starts happening. I mean, I've got tons of silver. The second this goes to 1,000 an ounce, it's like there's no point in doing these. I'm going to be so busy doing other things. Everyone will be, enjoying the life that they have stolen from us for the past 150 years, ever since this 1871 takeover. So it's a very exciting time. They're saying that Monday, Columbus Day, once again, the stock markets are closed because it's a holiday, but they're saying this big crash is going to take place Monday, Tuesday. And all these tariffs are set up as a way of bankrupting the U.S. corporation to where every other country just bypasses the U.S. and deals with themselves. Where then the Federal Reserve dollar dies, the gold and asset backed currency is installed, and everything is one for one. Okay. Every nation is on the same ground as everyone else because nobody has the ability to leverage currency against other nations like they can do with the paper Federal Reserve money. If that makes sense. So it's very interesting. We're getting to the point where all of this clicks into the next stage, and they are prepping everything. They laid off the government closed, they're firing all these people in the government, they get rid of all this waste. They've gotten rid of all this US aid money, and things are ready to shift to the next stage. Now, the final piece of that puzzle will be the arrest of all of these Epstein people, which will then turn into a complete reorganization of the government and every government. All the city governments, the town governments, the county governments, the state governments, all of these people, they wouldn't put you into a position of power unless you were controlled by blackmail, by money, by pedophilia. And if you are just a crooked congressperson who takes money and the money's gone, there goes the corruption. And these people will, once the money's out of politics, they're not going to be in politics anymore, and it'll switch to, you know, people volunteering to work at Congress or something. It'll change very quickly when you remove the the value behind their perceptions and their being traitors and things like that. So it's very interesting. We are getting closer and closer. Gold is 4,000 an ounce. They're claiming it's going to go to 5,000 by the end of the year, where the Bitcoin and the digital currencies not back are going to go down to zero. And all these people are still going to think, well, we should, buy the dip. It's going to raise the price again to 150,000, and we're going to make billions of dollars overnight. I wouldn't be so sure. I mean, the people who have been behind assets, metal, are I think people don't understand how much silver people, gold people, asset people have secretly knowing this big change is going to come. I can't wait for that to happen. And I think we are getting close. But like everything else, we have said this before. The QAnon people have said this before. It's been going on 10 years. Does that mean nothing's happening? No. Does that mean nothing will ever happen? No. Because we are part of a different plan than everyone else. And this is why it's going to split into two different factions. And, everyone has free will. You have a choice. Do you want to get with the living and humanity and the golden rule and the golden currency and all that stuff? Or do you want to continue with the debt, the slavery, being the slave master, hoarding the wealth over your neighbors and your family and your friends, and you know, telling everyone that you worked hard for your money when you are making secret money from these Freemasons and you've got a bullshit Freemason job and you are a bullshit Freemason person. And we're gonna expose these people to hopefully the point where they all kill themselves would be the ultimate goal if every Freemason killed themselves because they know what's coming and they know they can't outrun justice forever. And then they'll have to come to terms with the decisions they made and why they chose to live like they did. So that's about it for this week. I wanted to do possibly a through the grapevine. So let's do that real quick and we'll see how that goes.
This week on Through the Grapevine, we're going to be discussing a popular small town festival known as the Harvest Festival. These harvest festivals are a deception in plain sight when you understand the Masonic and Jewish connections within your town. When these harvest festivals occur, they are most likely followed by the sacrifice and killing of many young children within your area who may or may not have went missing in the weeks prior to the harvest festival, using these harvest festivals as a way of feeding the decaying corpses of their victims back to the town in which they come from. This can be done by making a chili cook off or something similar to that when these harvest festivals occur, feeding back the bodies of sacrificed humans to the people within the towns that they live in. No one understanding that this harvest is the harvest of children for the adrenochrome substance. And when they do their chili cook-offs, usually the winner is made with children within the chili or things of that nature. We know that the harvest of people comes at the time of All Hallows Eve, when the blood that they have used or accumulated during their harvest festival rituals is then used again to give themselves more power, feeding the demonic entities which are attached to their consciousness as if it was some type of a tasty snack. We know about the harvest festivals and the evil that surrounds these events, and how Freemasons are always the ones sponsoring these local small town festivals. How can we stop this? It's simple. Anytime you see a Masonic affiliated organization hooked into one of these festivals, know that you should not eat the chili. Because if you do, you might be openly committing acts of cannibalism with sacrificed humans that these Masons have acquired through their dark rituals. But don't blame me. I heard it through the grapevine, as you are hearing it through the grapevine.
Okay, that was through the grapevine. Very interesting and disturbing stuff there. But you have to always think, what is the secret motive behind the other motives? Okay, this is Modern American Gangster. That's going to do it for this week. I will see you guys next time. I am still working on my roof project. I've been working on this for fucking a month now. They have like backlogged my shingles. I can't get any more shingles to finish the small amount of roof that I have. So I did a special order store transfer, and hopefully they're going to be in tomorrow. I can get this roof done. I have started my book on what's really happened, editing the pages, editing it all together, and that is coming along too. I've got some other things I'm working on. I'm releasing the What Really Happened video onto the Patreon and Rumble and YouTube and BitChute. I've been posting live video streaming onto YouTube, like gaming content. I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5. I've been playing DayZ. It's like a zombie game. But if you ever see me on YouTube streaming, hop into the chat, say what's up, write something. I usually will see it instantly while I'm streaming. It's just I'm trying to do new things, new content, and finding kind of new things to do where, if you're in the chat, you can write what's up. I can acknowledge your chat, say hi. We can talk about things. If you want to play, we can maybe work something out with that. But we're trying so many new things to get things going. And it's like the second the money starts getting higher and the silver gets higher, we're going to really see a shifting of gears because we'll have the funds in order to push this operation to the next level. And it's very interesting, and I can't wait to do more stuff. So that's it for this week. I will see you guys next time on Modern American Gangster News and Current Events.